Industrial Talk is brought to you by Palo Alto Networks. You've heard me talk about my friends at Palo Alto Networks, Zero Trust OT Security, delivering a comprehensive security solution for all OT assets, networks, and remote operations. But did you know that the Palo Alto Networks solution provides over 1,100 app IDs for OT protocols, over 500 profiles for critical OT assets, and over 650 OT-specific threat signatures? Now that's best-in-class security delivered. Learn more about Palo Alto Networks' Zero Trust OT security solutions and how you can achieve 351% ROI over 5 years. Learn more about the Palo Alto Networks solution by going out to paloaltonetworks.com. That's paloaltonetworks.com.
Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott MacKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, once again, thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk, and thank you for your continued support of a platform that celebrates industry professionals all around the world. You are bold, yes, brave, yes, dare greatly, absolutely. You are changing lives, and therefore you are changing the world each and every day. We thank you for that, and that's why we celebrate you on this platform. We are, once again, Accruent Insights is the location, is the conference, and I got to tell you, you need to put this on your bucket list. It has to be a part of your 2024, schedule to get here, because it has been a fabulous event. We are in Nashville, Tennessee, and we are at the Gaylord, and if you've ever been to the Gaylord, you know that everybody gets lost, and it is a common conversation. But we have Frederic in the house. We are going to be talking about generation and all the Generation X, Y, Z. I can't keep track of it. The math is hard. So let's get cracking. Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah,
Thanks.
This is great. I'm looking forward to this conversation. By the way, I've had a great time. This has been a good event. Another good event.
I cannot agree more. I think that
People, good feedback?
Yeah, good feedback. I think it's just good to be with customers, to be honest with you. I think that when you look at it, it's been 4 years since we've actually get everybody together.
That's an eternity.
It is. It feels like it. And even more so, this is actually the first time that you have all diverse product together in one place. And so we made an effort to actually make this happen. Then we have all our customers from the different part of the business and also from the different part of the industry into one roof, under one roof.
4 years, and that's an eternity when you're dealing with, the conversation 4 years ago is completely different than the conversation you're having today.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just completely different. And so you're able to connect with the customers and the user community and just say, hey, what's going on? And how can, kudos to, Team Accruent, because that's a tough time. And you're delivering solutions. Every conversation I've had have been just absolutely positive.
That's awesome. And
yeah.
I hope that's the case. And we were lucky that we had a lot of customers who were interested to do a podcast and talk to you, to kind of get their feedback and have really all kinds of conversation, not just about a product, but about, hey, what they're thinking, what's important for them,
yes,
what's not important for them, what their vision is like. And I'm sure you got great feedback in that aspect.
Oh, yeah. They're let's just to sum it up. They like the direction that it's heading. They like, because the reality is that the technology, the innovation is happening so quickly. They need a partner that is every bit as nimble as what the market is telling them. They've got to be nimble. You've got to be nimble. And I think that many of the conversations indicated that's the case. Mm-hmm. The question I have, and because we want to talk about it, is that there's always these resource challenges, but you brought up a really interesting topic, and that is the generations, the different generations, and recognize we're an industry. Yeah, we are. It just is what it is. How do you see the behavior of the Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, Well, I don't even know what I am. I must be some Gen guy. I don't know. So how do you see that impacting the business?
Well, I think it's not just the business, but I think it's also the industry, a diverse industry that we are into it. There's no questions then, as leader in the industry, I've been in the industry for around 27 years now. So I've seen the variation from not having connectivity, not having Wi-Fi, to be able to do just about anything you want with your cell phone or with the tablet. We grew up without having that connectivity, without the Wi-Fi, which to a certain extent was actually a blessing.
Upon reflection, yeah, I agree.
When you look at it, because we actually have the ability to disconnect. And what I mean, we want to be so connected that we forget how to disconnect. And this is one of the aspects that I'm trying to do, especially when I go on vacation with my family, is, oh yeah, I want to go on vacation and I want to disconnect. Well, truly disconnect and turn off your notification and don't pay attention to it. That's the whole point. And I think we lost ourselves a little bit in that aspect, but when you look from a business perspective, we all want to be connected, which is great and we should, but we also have the need to communicate as human. I mean, case in point with this event is that I heard probably countless times this week, it's like, I can't believe we're back together in person because we can have conversation on the stairs, on the step, in the hallway that we would not have through Zoom or through Teams. It's just, you can't shake somebody's hand, say, what is your problem? Can I buy you a drink? Can we actually have a longer discussion than 15 or 30 minutes on a Zoom? And those things, if you don't do those things in life, without the phone, without your laptop, you're really missing out on the connectivity aspect. I think then I'm Generation X, well, born and raised in the 70s and 80s in Europe. And I also have a slightly different vision on this. I can disconnect from my phone. I have no problem. I remember when I didn't have a cell phone or didn't have a tablet. It is very difficult for my kids and their generation to be able to disconnect completely, or even for an hour. I mean, if I try to take my daughter's cell phone away, she's gonna crucify me.
Yeah.
I mean, you know this very well.
Yeah.
But I think then it's interesting also is we also have to look at the aspect of how do we use technology on the personal aspect as well as the professional aspect. I hear countless times then we're so connected at home, then we even text our kids from room to room. But then we don't use a tablet at work and we use a clipboard. You know? Mm-hmm. I mean, it was Plant Services who has been doing a survey since 2014 looking at what kind of technology are you using for connectivity. And every time I look at this survey, from 2014, even all the way up to last year, 2021, it was 60% of the people at work would use a tablet. Would use pen and paper. Now think about it for a second.
Yeah.
And it only has decreased about 10%, while other have been increasing by 20 or 30%, like wireless, tablets, and so forth. So it's increasing, but you still have 60% of the people who responded to that particular survey will say, yeah, we use pen and paper. So you can have all the best software in the world, but if you don't have good digitalization and connectivity, it's going to be very difficult. And that goes back to what we start talking about the different type of generation. How do you match somebody who Gen X or even baby boomer who's about to retire and say, well, I don't like to work with a tablet. I don't like to work with a computer. I'm really hands-on in that aspect. And then you have a 25-year-old who is eager to learn about maintenance and reliability and say, oh, I need an app in order to get this done. And you got to reconcile the two of them. Because the fact of the matter is, then you look, especially maintenance and reliability, if we take this as an example,
right?
You still need to learn a pump, how the pump works, or how the motor works, how a fan works, regardless if you are a specialist in apps or not. You have to learn that in order to do your job. And you're not going to use that, only learn it with an app. You got to learn the schematics and stuff like that.
Yeah, you need to get your hands on that app.
You got to have your hands dirty.
You got it.
And so how you reconcile, how they work together. Because you have kind of the old school, I'm going to get this done, this is how I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. And then the second aspect, you have the younger generations coming out of school and say, well, I'm sure there's an app for it. I'm sure we can do this electronically, connected to your tablet. It's not always the case. And so we have to find a middle point right there, how to work together.
I mean, how does an organization begin that journey? I mean, and I see it, it's just the reality of how people behave, how people learn, how people leverage technology to get jobs done, right? If I was an owner and recognize that your point is valid, don't get me wrong, it's valid. That means I've got 3-4 different approaches to my workforce that I have to be mindful of, which I never really had to before.
Correct.
But I have to now.
Yep.
What do we do? How do you help me solve that problem?
Well, I think from the discussion that I had and what I have seen on site at customers and listening to customers, first of all, you can't force down technology to people who don't want to learn. As simple as that. There's just some people who they're just not interested. That's not how they work, that's not how they think.
Yeah.
But you can still educate them in a way, then it will help them on what they do, or with their work. And at the end of the day, we're not trying to replace what they do because their knowledge is extremely valuable. As a matter of fact, we would love to be able to take the knowledge that they have in their head and put this from a digital format. That's kind of the goal of that, because it's so valuable, because you have a John who's been working 37 years in a particular role or a multiple role in a manufacturing environment. Once he leaves and he goes into retirement, that knowledge is gone at the door. You can't replace it. And
we've been struggling with that.
Yes, we have.
Forever.
Yes.
I mean, when I was a pup, we were struggling with that because you had people just walk out the door.
Yep.
I think we have a greater opportunity to be able to create that real, mining of that knowledge and putting it into a digital format today more than ever. But it's always been a challenge.
I can't agree more. I think digitalization in that aspect of the technology has really given us an opportunity, a tool in multiple format. Then when you have somebody who has so much knowledge and wants to go retire, trying to bring that knowledge down, digitalize, so the other generation or the younger technicians in their 30s and their 20s can still learn from a digital format because that's what they're used to it. That's why they either grow up on it, they feel more comfortable than somebody who's 65, 66 years old and has really most of their career has not grown up with that or has not necessarily adopted. And not necessarily by his own force, because maybe the organization has not adopted the technology as well. Because often we relate this to the generation, but it's got to be a combination also of the organization that works with all the different employees, regardless of the age, the experience that they have, and the culture they have. So it's a two-way approach right there, probably even more so.
Yeah, I look at it this way too, and you're spot on with your analysis on that. I look at it this way. If I owned a business, which I had in the past, I'm keen to try to learn from the youth because they're looking at problems that I look at differently. And it might be a creative way of solving a challenge through whatever means. There's a freshness that, if there's a positive there's a freshness that look at a problem. And I can appreciate it, I can respect that. And that to me is, I think that's where from my perspective, the gem is, the gold is. Because they're going to say, well, why do I have to do it that way? Why don't I do it this way? And then you have to realize that oh, I can do it that way. So that's a good thing. You agree?
Absolutely. I do agree 100% with you on this one. I think there's also a sense of, for us being more senior, there's a sense of vulnerability that we don't talk enough about it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And, you know, be able to reach out to somebody who's younger who does not have necessarily the main experience to say, so if I do this way, how would you do it? And I see a two-facet. Is it not only I'm being vulnerable and say, maybe there's a better way to do it, or is it a different way? My way is not necessarily the best way to do this maintenance practice, but also there could be a fresh way. There's also another way to us slowly challenging that generations and say, if you were in my shoes, what action would you take? What responsibility would you take to get this done?
Yeah.
That could leverage a lot of innovation and change, and we haven't thought about it.
But you know, if I had a nickel every time somebody is saying, hey, I'm having a hard time attracting talent, you have to create an environment that would attract this youth. It's just going to have to. You can be stubborn, but why would you want to be stubborn? So you've got to attract it. I think that's that sort of lies right where you exist, Accruent exists. I think that there is this energy that exists there that I think is attractive to young individuals, young professionals, young leaders, future leaders, whatever it might be. And I think we have to, senior individuals have to think through that and make it attractive.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of opportunities to do that. A lot of technology, a lot of innovation, automation, robotics, AI, whatever. But you still can't get away from the fact that you better dig into that pump.
Correct.
You better pull it out. You better align it. You
better understand how it works.
Right. So how would you recommend in with that? It's a reality. How can Accruent be sort of a great facilitator of that for me? If I'm just Scott manufacturer, Scott healthcare. How can you help facilitate that transition?
From a customer perspective?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Because I want to hear.
I'm not pretend I'm going to have the right answer, but I'll give it a shot. I think first and foremost, if you were a healthcare partner or any other partner, our customers, you got to establish a great relationship with the customer, a partnership with the customer. It goes hand in hand. I mean, some of my most successful customers that I've had is not because they spend $1 million with me, it's because from the beginning I make them feel that they were at home, essentially.
Yeah.
And I would take care of them.
Yeah.
Then whatever solution would have, some of our solution, depending when I was working at GE or Fluke or even at Accruent, may not have been the best one or the most sophisticated one, but they were the one for their needs, and we were able to explain this in a way. But if you don't partner with them, not for the short term, for the sale, but for long term to resolve their problems, then you're not going to win the customers.
I know for me personally, I want somebody I can trust.
Yes.
I just do. And that trust is developed over time. It's developed through dialogue, collaboration, solving problems in the near term, whatever it might be. But I'm looking for that. And especially now, when you have an environment that is so rapidly changing, it seems like it. I have the conversation, rapidly changing, challenges that require really creative solutions. I don't want to just pick out anybody who hangs a shingle and says, hi, I'll digitalize your business or whatever it might be, because there's going to be plenty of those. I need to trust. To go through this journey, I need to trust.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
So a partnership is multiform.
Yeah.
One of the things that we often recommend, even with our own organization, is say, hey, let's go to Gemba. Let's go where the customer do the work. And I think then, and a lot of them internally are really excited about this. I was lucky enough in my career over the past 27 years, and I spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours in more than 250 sites and locations, and I've seen it all. But you're almost like a sponge when you're a field service or when you're service director, because every customer you go, you learn so much. Even an hour on site, it's more than probably 100 hours on the phone.
Easily.
You see, you feel, you sense, and the fact that you are at the customers, you are in their own environment. And what's important, they'll share all kinds of information they would absolutely not share on a phone call or on a Zoom.
That's true.
And you learn so much that way. And what you learn about what they like, what they don't like, what's important, what's not important, and how a potential solution, if you talk about the solution, how this solution could actually help them, regardless of their age or background. And you learn to work with the young, with the 30-year-old, and with the 67-year-old who's about ready to retire.
Yeah, nothing can replace that.
No.
I mean, it's that field work, that connection to the field, talking with those ones that are out. Oh gosh, absolutely vital, especially in this world. I mean, come on. And then you'll be able to understand how the new innovation, the new technology can be applied. It's the right thing. It's the right thing. How do people get a hold of you? They say they want to have additional conversations.
Well, I'm Frederic Baudart from Accruent, and they can get a hold of me on my email address, frederic.baudart@accruent.com.
Out on LinkedIn?
I'm on LinkedIn as well, Frederic Baudart.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have all the contact information for Frederic out on Industrial Talk, so fear not. You need to connect with this gent because you will not be disappointed. Never will. You did great. I enjoyed that conversation.
It's great.
Always. Thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you for
Anytime,
the time.
Scott.
I really appreciate it. All right, we're going to wrap it up on the other side. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
Frederic's his name. Accruent Live was the event. We were talking specifically around how do we inspire the next generation of leaders, which is very important for industry. You need to focus on that. That's a must and a plus for your organization. Industrial Talk platform is here for you. We're here to educate, we're here to collaborate, and we're here to help facilitate any innovation that you have going on. And it's quite simple. You just go out to Industrial Talk, you click on Let's Connect, and then you'll talk to me. And let's see how we can amplify your voice, how we can create opportunities to bring more eyeballs to your organization, and of course, opportunity. So that's what Industrial Talk is all about. All right, go out there. That's your call to action. Be bold, be brave, dare greatly, hang out with Frederic, and you will be changing the world. We're going to have another great conversation coming from that event shortly.